Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell! Give 'em a hand! And let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York town.
And we're back. Mets and overall baseball fans, was not expecting to be back for this reason, but we are here. Another late night live stream, third of the day. It's 11:32 p.m. Eastern time. We'll probably run at least an hour, maybe less, maybe more. Figured, you know what, there's probably more moves to be had, because from our last live stream, we went on for a bit, and I had a feeling that, you know, maybe something is going to happen, and with my luck, it's going to happen as soon as I get off the damn live stream. And lo and behold, just a half hour later, the floodgates open. Plenty of big moves have transpired, as you guys see from the thumbnail. So we'll be breaking down all that over the past hour that we've seen, and also what can potentially be next, not just for the MLB, but for the Mets as well, as things are picking up with a lot of teams. Just absolutely absurd what has transpired of recent for the other team in New York, and of course, also looking at a Mets rival in the Washington Nationals. So let's get right into it, folks. Smash that like and subscribe button if you're just chiming the live stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. And yeah, let's just dive right in. Absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. It is such a, I did not expect this. I don't think anyone did. You know, a lot of you guys were talking to me in regards to Josh Donaldson, and I was saying there's no way that Josh Donaldson is going to get traded by the Twins now, because obviously they're showing that they're still trying to compete. They are showing that we land Sonny Gray. We want another bona fide starter. Great. So we're going to make sure that we continue to add on here and try to actually compete this year. But no, they did a trade with the Yankees, and I'm just left scratching my head. I feel that most Yankees fans are scratching their head by this. You know, it's interesting that Donaldson did get traded in New York in the end, but to the team in which he has the biggest personal rivalry with, which he does, you know, with multiple pitchers, but especially Garrett Cole, given the sticky substance situation. So it's such a bizarre situation. So again, shout out everybody in the live stream. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button as always. Carlos Martinez to the Giants is a solid move. That must have just happened. If that just happened, then I missed it. But absolutely absurd. I want to know what everyone's initial reactions are to that. And also, it feels like that there's a solid chance that more is going to happen tonight. This, again, of course, I go off live and this happens. But again, for people that aren't aware, you probably know by now, but Josh Donaldson, again, is a New York Yankee, along with Kiner Falefa, who was just traded from the Rangers. So they just trade him again. So he will be in that infield for the Yankees. And Donaldson can play at third, can play at DH, of course. And they also got a solid catcher as well. Pardon me. That is going to be in, I'm blanking on the guy's name. Give me 1 second. And then, of course, in return, Gary Sanchez going to the Twins. Absolutely nuts. He'll probably be utilized as a DH there. Donaldson's entire contract is being eaten by the Yankees. And for the Twins, they also get Gio Urshela. Urshela, very, very solid move. And yeah, it's such a bizarre move from both sides. A lot of people are saying, oh, the Yankees, they did this move. That means that they're going all in still on the trade market. But at the same time, it's like they're taking on Donaldson's entire contract. Okay, let's see what they do next. They're heavily pursuing. There's interest on the market for them and Matt Olson. There's still interest in Freddie Freeman. It's just so confusing. I am nothing more than confused right now. I think that is the best way for me to describe what has transpired here. And again, they got an absolute massive power bat in the bringer of rain. So it just, again, absolutely bizarre deal for me, for the Yankees, for the Twins. But again, it does have some connection to the Mets in the sense that Donaldson, was he going to potentially be a trade fit for the Mets? I did not think it was likely unless the Mets were doing a trade, obviously, where they landed a Taylor Rogers. And now we see that Donaldson, again, does go, in fact, and yes, same song. I didn't have a chance to change it. You're going to deal with it tonight. It is what it is. But again, just the fact for that this trade happened caught everyone off guard. And of course, it was after the live stream. And there's so much going on in the MLB right now, rumbling wise, outside of this. Again, after we went live just over the past hour or so. And then you also saw Nelson Cruz Boomstick, someone that you would imagine that the Mets had a certain level of interest in. They weren't a front runner for him, however. He signs with the Washington Nationals. It's a 2-year deal, but I just put a 1-year deal up there because there's a mutual option after the first year. So I can change it if you guys want me to. Either way, it's not a big deal. But Nelson Cruz, the upside of him going to the Nationals is he's not going to be on a contending club, assumably. The downside, however, is that Cruz has been a consistent power bat in the MLB for literally years now. And he has that potential, in my mind, to unfortunately be a Kyle Schwarber 2.0 type, in which he's just going to absolutely rake against the Mets and everyone else in the division. So it sucks in that sense that he's in the division now, but it's not terrible in the sense that he's not with a contending club. And I also did see reports, I'm sure you guys did too, that the Atlanta Braves did offer a contract to Nelson Cruz, but it seemed like that they weren't willing to go past 1 year. And because of that reason, that's why he ends up with the Nationals, because it's a 1-year deal, but again, mutual option after that first season for him to potentially stay for another year in DC. So just craziness, absolute craziness. Everyone, let me know what your thoughts are about the Yankees side of things, about the Twins trades galore. And I got to be completely honest with you, I don't know what the hell the Twins are doing. I really do not. I don't know how this makes them drastically better by any stretch. It's just so confusing to me. The Twins really are. They gave up a tremendous prospect today in the Sonny Gray trade. Was not even like that. You're going to have Sonny Gray for more than 2 years potentially, unless you resign him, which again, they can, because Sonny Gray does like smaller markets. It's been obvious. But all of this is just so confusing. This was all unexpected, I would say, for the most part. Yankees fans are scratching their heads. Twins fans are scratching their heads. It's just bizarre all around. But regardless, I appreciate everyone that's chiming in the live stream, guys, because outside of this, what we have seen reports of is, yes, Carlos Correa. And there's Buster only tweet out that there's potential of him signing a shorter term deal, like a 1-year deal, if he can't get the $300 million contract he's looking for. That is, I think, where the Mets can sweep in. They will absolutely do something like that, like a Marcus Semien situation. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. I think that Correa is going to sign a long-term deal somewhere still. But just, again, it's absolutely nuts. Just the thought of Correa signing a short-term deal. Again, I'm not going to get my hopes up or anything like that. I think he's still going to sign long-term. But I will say that if Correa is in the market for a short-term deal, there's no one that can outbid the New York Mets, and the Mets absolutely know that. It doesn't matter that the Mets have Francisco Lindor. They would absolutely jump on any situation like that should Carlos Correa somehow, some way sign a 1 or 2 year deal, which again, I don't see transpiring, but just the fact that that is at least a possibility to a degree is absolutely absurd. And we saw plenty of other rumblings around the league right now too, on the Matt Olson front, on the Freddie Freeman front. And of course, guys, if you see new news as it's happening, let me know in the live stream. Of course, we'll break it down as it happens. Continue smashing that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the stream, folks. We will see what happens, if at all, for the Mets tonight. I just want to make sure that we're live in case something happens, okay? If you're watching this on replay, there's probably a solid chance that nothing else did happen, but I want to make sure we're here for it. I want to talk about it. We already got 400 viewers because you guys are absolute beauties. Everyone's live right now for good reason, because this is just nuts. Even if you don't mainly cover these specific teams, you have to be talking about this. I'm just blown away. No one expected this shit to happen. I just absolutely jaw-dropping stuff. And yes, I know that Hector Gomez had been reporting that now that Nelson Cruz is off the table, Jorge Soler is being heavily pursued by the LA Dodgers. I don't want to see the Dodgers land Soler either, but of course, we're going to see what happens here. And the Freddie Freeman market, is Freeman going to sign tonight? Again, who knows? We're going to find out. But so much hecticness is going on, and something that I would like to mention to you guys, and I will mention again because it is important. Now, guys, we will see if something comes of this. You guys know that I've been advocating for a while. Matt Olson trade also remains a possibility per sources from Andy Martino. Not surprised. Again, I think Olson's definitely a possibility. It's crazy. I saw that Matt Olson's been hanging out with John Boy Media today and my guy Jack Jolly Olive. They're in Arizona right now, and who knows? Maybe Olson is going to get traded while he's hanging out with them. That would actually be crazy. But going back to what I was saying is, we'll see what happens, guys. But we know that the Mets are, in fact, if they're going to land another bat, if they are going to, it seems like there's a solid chance it's going to be a lefty. And I've been advocating for Jock Pearson for a little bit. I know that we saw the fact that Jock Pearson is being pursued by the Guardians, but I have received information from beyond credible people. And I unfortunately cannot tell you guys who these are because these are definitely people intertwined in the organization. But the Mets, from what I have seen, look to be aggressively pursuing Jock Peterson. Now, the reason why I don't have it reportedly connected right now is because he isn't a reported connection. This is something I'm hearing from a credible source. The same source that has told me numerous things that actually have happened over the past 48 hours. I just have not acknowledged it because I'm not trying to cause any issues here. So again, just all I'm saying is keep an eye on Jock Peterson. I think he'd be fantastic for the Mets. He obviously will be a cheaper option versus a Chris Bryant, of course, which I don't see happening unless they get him on a shorter term deal. A Kyle Schwarber I would love, but again, Schwarber's market, are the Mets going to be willing to pony up the dough? So if the Mets are going to land a lefty bat, just don't be surprised if it's going to be Jock Peterson. That is what I'm going to say to you guys right now. And again, just because they're aggressively pursuing does not mean that they're going to land him. The same thing goes with them showing interest in Josh Hader and talking with the Brewers. Same thing goes with them when they had interest in Tyler Mahle, even though it was a little different. With all these guys, Mets are going to have interest in a lot of different players. But again, if they land Jock Peterson, all I'm saying is do not be surprised by it. And of course, if we start to see reporting about that, then we'll touch on it as it happens. But Jock, obviously, should the Mets do land someone like him, that would be awesome. Did Pat just tweet something? Let's check Pat real quick. Hold on. I don't think Pat tweeted something, guys. Oh, never mind. He did. Billy Epler said he'd be fairly surprised if the Mets add another bat, but left the door open for the right opportunity. Braves postseason hero, free agent outfielder Eddie Rosario could be a fit. Mets current outfield Nimmo, Marte, Canna, McNeil, Dom Smith. See, Rosario could be a fit too, but I think it's going to be. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, so normally if Pat's going to tweet something like that, that means that he has obviously heard of something. I don't think this is just him throwing it out there. He's been intertwined, obviously, with the Mets right now regarding Eddie Rosario. But yeah, we're going to see what happens. Eddie, Eddie would be a perfectly fine fit for the Mets as a fourth outfielder. Again, was a stud in playoffs. I just think, to be quite honest with you, Jock Pearson may be the better fit. Again, I'm not going to complain, though. If the Mets land Eddie Rosario, I'm happy. That gives them further outfield depth. But again, Jock Pearson is someone that I would definitely keep an eye on. Eddie Rosario seems like he may be someone to keep an eye on. Either way, one of those Braves outfielders is the reports that we're getting right now. So very, very, very interesting to see what transpires. Hold on, guys. I'm checking tweets right now. Hector Gomez. And again, we'll see. Hector said Yankees, Cardinals, Astros, and Guardians on pursuit of Trevor Story. We'll see exactly what that turns out to be in. Yeah, just there's a lot of activity going on right now, and that's why I think that there's possibility that we're going to get more moves tonight. But again, everybody for just chiming back in again, we saw the trade, the blockbuster between the Yankees and the Twins. The Twins' third significant trade over the past 24 hours. And then we saw, of course, the Nelson Cruz signing going to, yes, the Washington Nationals. And now we have the Mets. If they are going to add a bat, again, if they're going to add a bat, there looks like there's a solid chance it's going to be one of the Braves postseason hero outfielders. Pat Ragazzo, my good buddy, thinks he thinks Eddie Rosario could be a fit. I think that Jock Pearson could be more of a fit just because from the information that I've been told, again, just because the Mets may potentially be heavily pursuing Jock Pearson does not necessarily mean they're going to land him. And again, I'm curious to see if we're actually going to see reports on it because again, I heavily trust where I found the information from, but it's also one of those things that, again, just because they may be heavily pursuing doesn't mean they're going to land him. And Jock, you're not looking for the consistency with Jock. You know exactly what you're getting. You're getting a fourth outfielder that can split time, of course, with Canna, that can also play the DH. That's a lefty pop in his bat. That's what you're looking for with Jock Pearson. Jock Pearson is basically the best bat option out there, lefty-wise, not named Kyle Schwarber. And I apologize again. I keep saying that Rosario is a right-handed bat. He is a left-handed bat. I don't know why I keep saying he's a righty. I keep thinking he's Ahmad Rosario. My mistake. It's because of what I know. But both of them obviously have been tremendous postseason, having great postseason success. Jock, however, is someone who knows winning a little bit more than Eddie. We know that obviously during his time with the Dodgers, has won back-to-back championships, and is someone, again, that has just balled out every single time he's in the postseason. So both of them are clutch. That's the thing. It's really up to personal preference. Either one I'll be happy with. If the Mets land either one, let's just see if the Mets do. I'm curious. Again, if the Mets are heavily pursuing Jock, sign me up. I love that. The Mets go and get Eddie Rosario. Perfectly fine with that too. I just know, Rosario isn't known for his on-base. And again, Jock, I'll check his numbers. I'm sure he's not an on-base stud either. So again, it might just come down to rather personal preference. But either one would definitely get the job done for the Mets for, another bat in the lineup to add depth. Mets want to add quality depth here. If you can have guys that go based on matchups, then, I think that's fantastic. As well as if you land Andrew Chafin that we know about, if you land one of those two, that's great to see. You happy with everything? I'm happy with everything the Mets have done so far. Absolutely. Rosario over Jock. For me personally, I like Jock a little bit more, but again, all personal preference. Again, either way, I would be beyond satisfied. So guys, let me know in the chat, how would you feel if the Mets landed Jock Pearson or Eddie Rosario? Are you satisfied if the Mets land either of those depth outfield options, and also guys that can also get some time at DH depending on if a trade happens with the Mets with their other pieces or not? Let me know. Rather have Schwarber. I rather have Schwarber too. Don't get me wrong, but again, I think we may still be pushing for a little bit too much if for Schwarber. I want Schwarber. We all do, but it feels like there will be more teams that are going to pony up a more aggressive offer for Schwarber, potentially longer term deal, something that the Mets may not be comfortable doing. Not the fact that they can't do it, but again, they're going to be smart about their decisions. I just hope that if the Mets don't land Schwarber, that he doesn't land in the division or we're cooked again. Like, it's as simple as that. If the Mets sign Freeman or Correa after a 24-hour stream, you guys can quote me on this. If the Mets land Correa or Freeman, I will stream for a minimum of 12 hours, just talking about it. I can promise you that, because it's not happening. Am I satisfied with our lineup? Yes, but I would still like the Mets to add another bat. If they can add again a Rosario, Jock Peterson, pipe dreams are of course the Chris Bryants and the Kyle Schwarbers of the world. I don't see that happening. But either way, Mets are still in a spot right now where they can definitely continue to improve this lineup, and it seems like they're going to. And I tend to agree. I think if the Mets are going to land a bat at this juncture, and it is free agency and it's not trade, I think trade is still a possibility somewhere, somehow. But if it is going to be free agency, I will say that one of Jock or Eddie feels more realistic, just based on, again, the type of contract you'd be ponying up for one of those guys. And yes, Schwarber can't play defense. That's true. Eddie and Jock aren't known for their defense either, but they're not Schwarber level bad. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm going to go on Fangraphs quick. I want to look up Jock's numbers, and I want to look up Eddie's numbers a little bit further, if that's okay with you guys. Just to break them down a little bit further, because I haven't looked them up too much lately. And I want to be familiar, especially if the Mets do end up landing one of them. Suzuki is a Padre? Not yet. We don't know. We don't have an official word on Suzuki yet. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, so Jock Pearson again, for people that aren't aware, Eddie Rosario is who we're talking about too. Yes, but keep in mind that this goes beyond just average when you're comparing Eddie Rosario and Eddie Rosario and Jock. But yes, Jock last season splitting time with the Cubs. He originally came in, of course, as Kyle Schwarber's replacement in Chicago, believe it or not. And boy, oh boy, did the Cubs mess up there. They ended up trading him, of course, to the Braves when the Braves were trying to salvage their season, and they did just that. Yeah, Jock, similar to Eddie in the sense, not known for his on base either. Had a 238 average, a 310 on base, 422 slugging, 18 home runs, 61 RBIs, 55 runs scored, but again, was a postseason magician, as was Eddie in their own right. So again, if you're talking about games that matter down the stretch and getting into postseason, both these guys have proven to be those performers. But one guy who's had more experience than the other is obviously Jock because of his time with the Dodgers. But that's not Rosario's fault that he wasn't with a successful team the way that Jock was. But yeah, very, very solid numbers for him throughout his career. Again, playoff numbers, just absolutely fantastic. Let's take a look here as postseason. Okay. Yeah, Jock, let's see. Last season, he had in the postseason, let's see. He had 3 home runs, 9 RBIs in 15 games, and had some clutch home runs for the Braves too. And in 2020, when he was with the Dodgers, when they won the World Series, he had 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, a 382 average, a 432 on base, a 559 slugging. Yeah, no, he's been in playoffs for so long. It's actually crazy because he's been from the Dodgers from 2014 up until 2021, obviously. Rosario, both of them aren't known for their on base. So, I will say that, again, I will not be upset by any means if the Mets land Eddie Rosario. But Jock Pearson, I'm just throwing him out there more because of the news that I've heard about him. So we'll see if anything comes of it. But I'm intrigued by both of them. Yeah, and Rosario again here, and yeah, my dumb ass. I'm sorry. I kept saying that Rosario was a righty. I don't know why. It's because I'm thinking Ahmad. It's only that reason. But yeah, again, Eddie Rosario, 259 averages past season between obviously the Indians when they were still the Indians, and then he got traded for Pablo Sandoval. Yeah, think about that. And also the Braves, 259 average, 305 on base, 435 slugging, 14 home runs, 62 RBIs, 42 runs scored. And the majority of that offensive success came all with the Braves. Like, he was immaculate when he landed in Atlanta. If we look at his postseason, though, those postseason numbers were fun. Let's see. I think we are getting Correa, to be honest. I don't know what you're smoking, but it has to be some good stuff, my man. I would love Correa, but I don't see it happening. Okay, 383 average, 456 on base, and 617 slugging, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs in 16 games, of course, including the World Series. And you know what? My mistake, everybody. I actually have to go back a little bit. I do apologize. I did not realize the amount of playoff has a little bit more playoff success than has more games in the playoffs than I even expected for the Twins, because I forgot that they had one game in 2017 and Eddie had a home run in that game. In 2019, they had 3 games, and he had himself a home run at 308 average. And in 2020, they had 2 games, and he didn't get any hits in those games. But still, both of them have very, very solid playoff numbers. Both very much Mr. Clutch. You have Jocktober. Jock isn't washed for what the Mets would need him for, and I think that's important. You're not getting Jock to be your everyday outfielder. You're getting him to basically be your 4th outfielder, playing time with Canna, while also getting DH time. So keep that in mind. And same thing goes with Eddie Rosario. It would help them with matchups. Will only likely make a big move for a bat for a 1-year deal. For a shorter term deal, I agree. And I'm going to look at your donations now, guys. And again, thank you so much for the donos and the support. I really, really do appreciate that. Again, guys, if you're enjoying the live stream, we got 500 plus viewers. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. As always, it is really, really always appreciated, guys. Thank you so much in advance. And again, we'll see what happens with the Mets. I expect them. Obviously, they're going to make more moves. I hope they make moves tonight. If they don't, it's okay. I just want to make sure that I was live here, whether you're watching live or on replay. I wanted to make sure that I was here, sitting in this chair right now, because there's a lot of rumblings right now. So I'd rather just be here versus not be here at all. I'm just mad at myself for ending the live stream earlier when I did. Shame on me. Let's see. LSD, thank you so much for the donation. Be honest, Braves or Mets, who's better? Braves are still the team to beat. Braves are still the team to beat. When you win the World Series, you're always going to be the team to beat. Appreciate the donation, buddy. And again, shout out everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys being here. Charles, thank you so much for the $5 donation. The Mets said they are willing to go over the tax for the right situation. Correa on a possible high AAV 1-year. I agree with you, Charles, and thank you for the dono. Here's the thing, though. I think what people need to understand is there's basically no shot in hell Correa signs a 1-year deal unless the Mets quite literally offer him. Like, I would have to imagine they would have to offer him close to the highest paid player in baseball in order for that to happen on a 1-year deal. How much money in 1 year do you think Carlos Correa would need to land with the New York Mets on a 1-year deal? Think about that. Just think about that for a minute. Like, how do you, I would imagine that it would have to be right around Scherzer. It's hard. It's really hard to think that anything less would make the cut. You would literally have to offer, again, I think at least 40. I really do. Now, granted, if Cohen's willing to do that, sign me the hell up, right? If Cohen can do that, if he's willing to do that, absolutely, you do it. But it's just, I just don't see it. I just really don't see it. Love the Chris Bassitt deal. Yeah, no, I love the Chris Bassitt deal. And guys, the reason why I didn't go live as soon as I did is because I ran out and I got this. The news was happening when I was out, of course, but I got to frame this. We got the Chris Bassitt newspaper, so I'm excited. I'm going to put this on the wall. Very, very pumped for this. I'll probably put him next to Scherzer. I'll probably put Epler down. I'll put Epler somewhere else. But yeah, I'm going to put Bassitt there. Probably put Bassitt right in the middle. That feels about right.